All right, it is June 6, 2023, and the council is just coming back from an executive session in which we have recessed. We're going to now go into our work session for today, which is June 6, 2023. And the first item is the discussion of an amendment to the RNS 20 zoning code. And so we will...
RNS 12.
RNS 12, did I say?
You said 20.
Oh, interesting. All right. RNS 12. And we have essentially, did you want to start?
Well, I was gonna wait for you to finish, and then I was gonna make some introductory comments before.
All right,
council
we'll
begins their
turn it
discussion.
over to our city attorney.
All right, well, thank
first.
you. So just to be clear, because any rezoning has a process laid out by ordinance, which includes a staff report with a recommendation, planning and zoning recommendation, and of course, all the public input that goes with the planning and zoning process, and then to the council for public hearing, of course, the council members are not to make a final decision about anything until the close of the public hearing at that meeting. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that at this point, what I think council is discussing is whether to invest the staff time to move forward with the proposal as suggested without taking any position on whether each council member would ultimately vote in favor or in opposition to it down the road. Does that all make sense and track with your expectations?
Great. Thank you. All right, so we'll turn it over to any counselor that wants to make comments at this point.
Well, as Eric mentioned, what we're being asked to do is direct staff to invest in the process of considering whether in the RNS 12 zone to reduce the maximum building height for single-family and duplex residential structures from 35 feet to 27 feet. And we received a letter from the Northside Neighborhood Association Steering Committee regarding this request. I want to thank the steering committee. This was a pretty impressive document. It, I think, gives us a very good, if we are to move forward on this, a very good foundation in terms of the relationship of this request to our comprehensive plan, the central district plan, and the current strategic plan in terms of its relevance there. Gives a detailed rationale for amending the building height in their view. The letter also gave examples of buildings that would comply with the proposed amendment, just for clarification. And then, aside from the letter, we received some letters from Ann Ferks and Nancy Carlson, both of whom live either in or in the vicinity of the RNF zone and have a long-standing understanding of how the RNS 12 zone was developed as a zone to help stabilize those areas where it was applied. So I certainly feel we have an argument that has been well made, and I do think the idea of investing the time by staff in this is merited.
I would share similar feelings. I guess I'll put it up to this. We have a department that's dedicated to providing developers services relating to rezoning requests, and the process in our city code gives ways for anyone to request a zoning be redone. So I think if we're allowing developers to do this, I think that there shouldn't be any reason why we wouldn't, again, just start the process through a very detailed formal request from the Northside neighborhood. So I will support starting the process.
I also would support that process and also echo Councilor Thomas's comments about the steering committee. Really appreciated the data and the pictures, and it seemed to me that that was a step that would be even helpful to our staff if we're wanting our staff to look into this, because it's helpful. They won't have to go back through and look into all these and find homes that would fit into that. So I think that was very helpful.
Yeah, I think in order to evaluate the request, the process makes sense, and we can let other stakeholders have the opportunity through public hearings to come forward and voice support or opposition, and we can hear that as well. So, so I think this would be, I would welcome the information that would come from the process before it would get to us.
It looks like we have a majority at this time.
Yes.
If I may, just so I can meet expectations on this item, the staff will start with our own analysis and we'll put forward a recommendation. Does the council want to rely on just the traditional public hearings to engage the public and welcome public comments on this? Or would you like us to go any step further with specific outreach to property owners, community engagement meetings, all those types of things that may accompany text amendments? In other words, how much staff time do you want us to put into this process, knowing that there are public opportunities specified in the code?
It seems to me, as you just said, that there are opportunities, because this is public as is right now, and that staff would be providing this analysis, there would be opportunities for public, and we could use our own networks to make sure that this is known so that people can provide input. I would hate to put more burden on staff to go those extra lengths, given what we have in our strategic plan already. But I want to make sure that the public knows about it. So I think if it's fair, once we, as we get this information or know that it's coming up, that we can share this with our own networks, so that kind of outreach doesn't have to be on staff's. That's the preferred way I would want to go. I don't know how others feel.
Go right ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. I was just going to say, I think the standard process makes sense. If what we're being asked to do is initiate the process, then I think doing it the way we normally do it is what I'd advocate for.
One of the questions I was going to ask is if we weren't to do it the full normal process, in lieu of some of these opportunities for the various ways the public engage, is there a way that we can still invite the public to when the staff is going to present, just target mailings to those that normally would have been invited to something different, where they're actually invited to the council meeting, where those conversations are being had?
Yeah, the trick being you don't want to unintentionally leave anybody out of a mailing, for example. So if we were to do a mailing, that's typically why we'll do some type of radius, either around a project site or within all properties within a zoning code. But yes, we can do our best to promote to people we think would be stakeholders, just generally speaking, that this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is coming up on X date and this item is on their agenda. If there's a staff report, feel free to come and share your thoughts. Same with council meeting. So we wouldn't necessarily, I don't believe, would get into a mass mailing of sorts on an issue like this.
So staff still needs direction from this council, because I don't think it's been made clear.
I think the consensus is just the standard process, and make sure that it's our responsibility to reach out more to people, and then you will bring in other stakeholders.
Well, quick question about what number of properties currently would be directly affected by this. It's not a huge number, if I remember from.
Yeah, there's certainly properties within a zoning code, so anybody living within an RNS 12 zoning code would be one option, but obviously people living around those areas may be impacted as well. So it's hard, there's some subjectivity to determining what that impact would be.
Okay.
Well, so I interpret standard, you're looking for staff analysis and recommendation and moving right into the publishing on the agenda, a future Planning and Zoning Commission agenda. I'm seeing those head nods.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else on this agenda item? All right, we're going to move on, and thanks to everyone that has patiently waited. that are in the audience. We're going to move on to item number 2, which is clarification of agenda items. Moving on to item number 3, information packet discussion, May 25th. June 1st, information packet. And IP5, there was a memo from our city manager. Did you want to?
This is the transit study. So the council's aware that the MPO has gone through a process in securing a consultant to evaluate bus rapid transit along the Crandic rail corridor. This would allow us to compare what we might expect from a cost and ridership standpoint with the previously completed studies on passenger rail. The cost is about $250,000, and divided amongst the 5 entities that have been cost sharing in these studies, it would be $50,000 each. So I'm just seeking your informal approval to move forward with that level of contribution.
Yep. And you have majority support.
Thank you.
All right. Any other items from June 1st information packet?
We have the ARPA update memo in there, and I just know the underestimated business support, it said will be sort of under review. Do we have any very quick updates as to the status of that?
I believe all the applications are being reviewed. There's some clarifications that are being sought with some of the applicants, and I think those are taking place within the next week or two, this week and next week. So we should have a more clear picture after we get through those clarification exercises.
Great, thank you.
Item number 4, University of Iowa USG updates. Welcome.
Hi, Council. Yeah, it's nothing too special this time. We're just kind of planning our current agenda and what the Winterland administration wants to get done. Governmental Relations is working on how we can help alleviate some of the worries about DEI programs possibly being taken away through the border regions and through the state. But there's nothing really big happening so far for us besides agenda setting for the next semester. So thank you guys so much. Have a good week.
Thank you. All righty. Item number 5 is council updates on assigned boards, commissions, and committees. And Jeff kind of just gave my update on the for the ARPA funds.
sorry.
No, which is fine.
So I am continuing on with the UNESCO City of Literature Board, so that's exciting. I didn't ask permission from anyone else. I just got the invitation, and I was like, sure, I'd love to do it. So if anybody wants to arm wrestle me, we can go forward. But yeah.
Great. Here are no other updates. We are adjourned until, well, adjourned, and then we will start our formal meeting at 6 p.m. And as a reminder, after the formal meeting, we will go back into our executive session. Great.
Recording in progress.
welcome. Today is June 6, 2023, and welcome to your City Hall. It is 6 p.m., and this is our City of Iowa City's formal meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Harmson.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Teague.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
All right. Well, our first item is 1A proclamations. 1A is Juneteenth, National Freedom Day. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring persons enslaved in Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America. And whereas on June 19, 1865, almost 2.5 years later, Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of both the Civil War and slavery. And whereas Texans began the celebration of Juneteenth in 1866 with community events such as parades, cookouts, prayer gatherings, musical performances, and historical cultural readings, some communities purchased land for Juneteenth celebrations, such as Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas, and as freed families immigrated from Texas to other parts of the United States, they carried the Juneteenth celebration with them. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the word June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And whereas beginning in 2022, the City of Iowa City officially recognizes Juneteenth as a city holiday. And whereas Juneteenth reflects our community's deep belief in liberty and equality for all individuals. And whereas Juneteenth celebrates the strength and resolve of African Americans throughout history and is an opportunity to honor African American culture, art, history, and achievement, as all benefit from a greater understanding and appreciation of the experiences of others. And whereas the City of Iowa City, Johnson County Black Voices, and many other organizations are hosting free public events to commemorate Juneteenth, details regarding all events can be found on the City of Iowa City's website. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Teague, do hereby recognize Juneteenth 2023 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day in Iowa City, and would encourage all community members to participate in this commemorative event. And we just want to say to all of those that are going to be a part of this celebration, is going to be held downtown on Friday, but there's many more events, so we would ask that you go to the website to see all of the opportunities that our city is and our county is actually having in honor of Juneteenth. So we'll just give a hand clap for Juneteenth. Proclamation 1A2 is LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Whereas LGBTQ plus communities across the nation annually celebrate pride in their culture and community in the month of June. And whereas the annual celebration of Pride began as a collective protest for the rights of LGBTQ plus individuals and communities. And whereas the national tradition of celebrating Pride in June is a tribute to the Stonewall riots of June 1969 in New York City, which are remembered as the launch of the modern LGBTQ plus rights movement. And whereas transgender persons of color, including Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Riviera, and Storm Delavery, were primary leaders in the Stonewall expression of just treatment for the LGBTQ plus people, and gave their work and lives to the cause. And whereas the City of Iowa City recognized that many LGBTQ plus lives that continue to be lost each year in pursuit of living out their authentic identities, in particular, transgender persons of color. And whereas the City of Iowa City welcomes and accepts persons of diverse sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions, and is proud to celebrate the contributions and culture of all residents. And whereas each year, Iowa City Pride brings together thousands of LGBTQ plus persons from across Iowa and beyond to celebrate their shared identities and experiences. And whereas Iowa City Pride is celebrating its 54th annual Pride anniversary and the 55th anniversary of Stonewall this June, and whereas Iowa City Pride will host its annual Iowa City Pride on June 17th in downtown Iowa City, and I would encourage all to attend the celebratory event, which includes a parade. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 to be LGBTQ plus Pride Month in Iowa City, and encourage all to reflect on the ongoing struggle for equality, members of the LGBTQ plus community face, and celebrate the contributions that enhance our city. And to receive this is Joe Riley, who is the current president of the Iowa City Pride.
Thank you, Mayor Teague, Council. Thank you for continuing this long storied tradition we have here in Iowa City of having an inclusive community that is positive and affirming. And that's part of our message this year is we are stronger together and we're sharing our experiences. We are visible, we are present, we are represented. Please come out June 17th. It will be a long day of activities, fun and entertainment, kicking off with a parade at noon. It's shaping up to be perhaps our largest festival yet. So now in our 53rd year as one of the oldest prides in the United States, we are very proud to continue being that for this community and for these members of our Iowa City community to come out and share their experience. Thank you.
Thank you, and here is the proclamation. All right, we're going to move on to our consent agenda, which is items 2 through 7. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Taylor.
Second, Alter.
And anyone from the public like to discuss a topic that is within our consent agenda? If so, please come to the podium. If you are online, please raise your hand. Say no one online or in person. Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Taylor,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're on to item number 8, which is our community comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to speak on a topic that is not on our agenda. So if you're present, we ask that you come on up, and you have up to 3 minutes. There is a sign-in sheet at the table. Also at the back of the room, there are stickers that you can pre-fill out your information. We ask that you state your name and city you're from. Welcome.
Hey, City Council, it's so great to see the Family Folk Machine perform at the Englert just a few weeks ago. It was really brilliant, and some of our counselors really have beautiful voices. And they sang all kinds of things, from folk music, Irish music, would have made my dad happy to see that, soul music, Bohemian Rhapsody, Laura Burgess and our mayor, both really showing quite the community spirit in their vocals, and I loved it. Man, be involved, That's a great group. So first of all, I'd like to say that. Thank you so much for being part of that. Made my day. Second of all, Juneteenth. That's cool. I'm for Juneteenth. I'm against racism. I'm for democracy. I'm against fascism. I think we should celebrate the day. But, we always say we're going to have a day. One day out of 365, we're going to have that day. But man, we should have 365 days where we respect people of color, LGBTQ, and we should work all year long. I mean, we say Juneteenth, cool. It's great to celebrate. But really, you know, we live in a state where we can do a lot of stuff to show our appreciation by helping people who are on the outs, which, you know, when we talk about people of color, we know that they are disproportionately imprisoned. We have the largest prison population in the world. As a country, we have the largest population per capita in the world, and that's something that we can work on. And LGBTQ, I feel the same. This is kind of loose leaf for me tonight. I would say those of you who are outside have been breathing the air, which is a lot of Canadian wildfire burning, a lot of Canadian cities burning, a lot of climate change going on out there. Just as a reminder, we have to keep working on our Congress and Senate to do better in this area, and we have to do better at home. And I just read this statistic just for fun. I know you guys want something trivia tonight, but our military pollutes more carbon footprint than 140 countries combined. No? Now we're spending about $1 trillion on military, yet we're cutting food stamps. I think we can do something there. I love all you guys. You're super cool and groovy. Keep working at it. You'll get it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello.
Please state your name and city you're from.
Hi, my name is David. My last name's kind of long, so you can see it in the guest book, but I live in the east side of Iowa City. So first things first, I'd like to apologize since I don't think I did a good job explaining my issue with the Capitol Street ramp at the last meeting, and I was a little nervous because I've also never addressed a city council meeting before. So basically, all I, and I hope other motorcyclists are asking, is for the parking department to please shorten one of the exit gates at the Capitol Street ramp so that we can exit the normal way like we used to, which I think is much, much safer. So to be clear, I don't think this was done intentionally. I think it was just an unintended consequence of the new parking system. And so I brought up my cost and emissions estimates to show why I love motorcycling and why I've continued to do it for the past 4 years, even though I don't really have to anymore. But I think it may have come off as being a bit selfish since I understand that not everyone wants to take the risk. And if I had to choose between my car and bike, it would be a really hard choice because I haven't yet ridden my scooter to Costco, and unfortunately, I don't live in the South anymore. And so that being said, I'd like to really thank the city for increasing my bus service frequency to every 20 minutes. I really appreciate it, and I strongly support the Zero Fare Transit pilot project. And so to conclude, I understand that there will be a public hearing on making improvements to the city parking ramps on the 20th. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I'll be spending Juneteenth on a plane to Boston for going to a conference. But I'd really appreciate it if my suggestion on improving the safety of the Capitol Street ramp can be discussed. And so thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
Great.
My name is Sherman, and I'm from Iowa City. And I've been coming to these meetings for a while. And tonight I would like to begin with an analogy. When neglected or left unattended, our beloved pets will turn feral. Even baby will turn wild just to survive. But can the man of mind go feral when forced into survival mode? When we have to make choices we wouldn't normally make? When we have to survive on animal instinct? What kind of metamorphosis happens to man? Do our minds go feral? Some of us reinforce our living structures. Some of us arm ourselves. Some of us succumb to the introduction of the new elements such as drugs and violence, either having to use violence or drugs to survive or becoming a victim of their forced environment. I've been coming to these meetings since May the 2nd, calling for the investigation and audit of Christy Candanelli and Shelter House and past and present staff. They don't sit you up to succeed. They sit you up to return, to be a part of the recidivism rate. And the city of Iowa City and its citizens will continue to give money into a broken system, a sinking ship. I implore this council to inspect the following documents of 501 and Shelter House: bookkeeping records, balance sheets, donation records, receipts, tax write-offs, income documents, payrolls, invoices, account balances, management's account, and reporting systems. Chrissy, you should be transparent and above reproach. Reveal your budget and expenditure. Answer the taxpayers. One day you will say, maybe he's onto something. Maybe we should sort this out and ascertain what's true. By the time you realize I'm not going to be silenced and go away, I'll be campaigning against you, and your services will no longer be needed in Iowa City. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there correspondence by chance? Okay. Can I get a motion to receive correspondence?
So moved. Alter.
Second, done.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Anyone else like to address a topic that is not on our agenda today? Seeing no one in person or online, thanks to everyone that spoke today. We're going to move on to items number 9A, Building Code Update. Ordinance amending Title 17, Chapter 1, Building Code by adopting the International Building Code 2021 edition, including Appendix K, and the International Residential Code 2021 edition, including Appendix F and Appendix J, and providing for certain amendments thereof, adopting Section 103.6 of the Code of Iowa and Section 105.4 of the Code of Iowa to provide for the protection of the health, welfare, and safety of the residents of Iowa City, Iowa, and Title 17, Chapter 12, to clarify the process for building code appeals. And I'm going to open the public hearing, and we're going to welcome our staff, Danielle.
Thank you, Mayor. Danielle Sitzman, Development Services Coordinator. I'm joined tonight with my Senior Building Inspector as well, Tim Hennis. Just to give you a brief overview of this agenda item, the Iowa City regulates the construction, alteration, relocation, enlargement, replacement, repair, equipment use, and occupancy of residential and commercial structures through the building permitting process and the adoption of building codes. Building codes are the minimum design and construction requirements to ensure safe and resilient structures. A model building code is a building code that is developed and maintained by a standards organization independently of the jurisdiction responsible for enacting the building code into law. A local government such as ours can choose to adopt a model building code on our own, and this saves local governments the expense and trouble of developing their own code standards. The I-codes, which are developed through a process facilitated by the International Code Council, or ICC, are the most widely used set of model building codes in the world, currently adopted and used in all 50 U.S. states, U.S. territories, and in many other countries. The I-codes provide a minimum safeguard for people at home, at school, at play, and in the workplace. The I-codes are revised on a 3-year cycle through the Code Council's consensus code development process that draws upon expertise of hundreds of building and safety experts across North America. The codes are updated regularly to capture lessons learned from prior disaster events, new building and climate science research, and new technologies and practices. The state of Iowa imposes state-required codes upon local jurisdictions such as Iowa City. As part of the last code update we did in 2019, the city has amended amended its codes to conform to state regulations, requiring all local jurisdictions to adopt the state plumbing, state mechanical, and state electrical codes, and the state's adopted version of the International Energy Conservation Code, or IECC. Local jurisdictions do have the option of adopting the remaining state-adopted International Building Code, IBC, and International Residential Code, IRC codes, or a stricter code as determined by our jurisdiction. The ordinance before you tonight continues to adopt the required state codes and locally amended versions of the most recent editions of the IBC and IRC model codes. Included in your packet is a memo from Tim Hennis, our senior building inspector, highlighting the notable changes between the 2018 and 2021 editions of the model codes and our local proposed amendments. There are very few significant changes included in this code cycle. Many of the proposed local amendments simply maintain existing practices that we've had for many years. The proposed changes were developed in collaboration with other jurisdictions in the Iowa City-Cedar Rapids corridor to ensure as much consistency as possible. And the information about the code adoption process was also shared with our Iowa City Home Builders Association. Adopting the 2021 IBC and IRC codes with amendments as proposed will maintain consistency with national, state, and surrounding jurisdictions, allow designers and builders uniform standards for design, provide protection from many man-made and natural disasters, and guard public health and reduce property losses. The Board of Appeals at their public meeting on May 1st, 2023 voted to recommend approval of the ordinance as proposed, and staff does recommend adoption at this time. We're happy to answer questions if you have any.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Please come to the podium and state your name and city you're from, please.
What I have to say is pertinent, but I moved out into Town and Campus Apartments back in October. And at the time, there was water leaking into my apartment. When it snowed back in December, I had snow coming into my apartment. And when I would call the inspector, I called Mr. Leverman and everybody. They would tell me that they told them. Say, well, I told them about this, you know. And I'm thinking, well, if you told them about this, why am I living here? Why don't I have a water heater? Why don't I have a furnace? I just got a water heater, sir, in April. And I've been there since October. I just got a new furnace last month, you know. But they say, well, we told them about it. You know, if you told them about it, why are they renting these apartments out?
I think you're talking a lot about rental permit, which isn't the topic. This is building code update.
Okay, that's why I didn't know.
No, I understand.
All
Yeah.
right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to give first consideration?
So moved. Done.
Second, Harmson.
Council discussion. I appreciated hearing the collaboration with other communities so that there is consistent language and also including the Home Builders Association is who I think that they talk to. Roll call, please.
Teague,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9B, Fire Code Update. Ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 1, Fire Prevention and Protection by adopting the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code to regulate and govern the safeguarding of life and property from fire, explosion, life safety risks, or health hazards. And I'm going to open the public hearing and welcome Staff Troy.
Good evening, Council. I am coming tonight to update the International Fire Code from the 2018 edition to the 2021. The International Fire Code is also an I-code developed by the International Code Council's model codes, which are published on a 3-year cycle. The proposed ordinance includes the most recent edition of the International Fire Code with local amendments. These local amendments reflect a new level of collaboration between the area fire marshals to create continuity. The cities of Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, and Tiffin have taken efforts to closely align our local amendments so that a contractor is less likely to find different rules in different towns. The International Fire Code and the International Building Code refer to each other, and for that reason, Iowa City has always tried to keep the two codes on the same cycle. State law requires a public hearing on the adoption of a model code. Staff is recommending the adoption of the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code along with local amendments. A copy of the ordinance and the International Fire Code are on file at the City Clerk's office. The memo in your packet details the minutes to the Board of Appeals for our local amendments. That's all.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to give first consideration?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Burgess.
Council discussion. Well, I will say that, the international codes do provide businesses in our community an expectation to provide safety. I myself went through revitalizing a building, and we were required to have fire sprinklers. While that comes at a great expense, I really know that the real need for that is true, that there are codes in place to make sure that we protect folks. And so I really appreciate you all continuing the work to make sure that there's I think collaborative language amongst the different communities, as well as for those like me who are lay folk that can understand what all of this means in practical terms. So I really appreciate these updates that you all are doing today. Roll call, please.
Thomas?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Item 9C is asphalt resurfacing 2023. Resolution approving the project manual and estimate of costs for the construction of the asphalt resurfacing 2023 project, establishing the amount of bid of security to accompany each bid, directing city clerk to post notice to bidders, and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. And I'm going to open the public hearing. And welcome.
Thank you. I'm Mari Van Dyke. I'm with the engineering division. This project is an annual project that's part of our larger pavement management program. And so the goal of the project is to extend the life of pavement on older streets without having to fully reconstruct them. So the general process for the project includes milling of existing asphalt and then patching the worst areas of existing pavement, and then curb and gutter repairs and curb ramp replacements, and then the streets are overlaid with 3 inches of asphalt. Typically, we would have a handful of streets that we overlay each year, but this year we kept this project a bit smaller so that we could use funds for other pavement management projects. For example, we're working on a design for First Avenue to reconstruct a small portion north of Rochester, and so that will hopefully happen later this year. And then we're also looking at doing some extensive patching on Mormon Trek, which would happen later than First Avenue, but still hopefully in the near future. So back to the resurfacing project, the majority of the work will be on Court Street. So we would be overlaying between Elmira Street and Berkeley Lane. We'll also have a little bit of work on Gilbert Street, where we will mill and overlay the pavement at the railroad crossing that's between the bus barn and the forestry building. And then we'd also be chip sealing Taft Avenue between American Legion Road and Herbert Hoover Highway. The estimated construction cost is $600,000. The bid opening would be June 27th, we would award the contract July 11th, and then construction would be July to October this year. Are there any questions?
Thank you much. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve?
So moved, Thomas.
Second, Taylor.
Council discussion.
I actually just find it so amazing that, even while the work takes time, that the process of actually getting it bid to the contract one is so short. So just one of those layperson types of observations that we think of these things as taking years in the making to figure out. But really, it seems it's kind of like the other way around. It's like, get it out there, let them bid, and let's go. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9D is CDBG ADA Curb Ramp 2023. Resolution approving project manual and an estimate of costs for the construction of the CDBG ADA Curb Ramp 2023 project, establishing amount of bid security to accompany each bid, directing city clerk to post notice to bidders, and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. And I'm going to open up the public hearing and welcome staff. Ethan.
Thank you. My name's Ethan Yoder. I'm with the Engineering Division. I'm going to talk about the CDBG ADA curb ramp project for this year. The project locations that we selected are going to be at Broadway Street, at Cross Park Avenue, Apple Court, and Sandusky Drive, Davis Lane and Tracy Lane intersection, Sandusky Drive at Davis Street and Bancroft Drive, Hollywood Boulevard at the intersections of Delwood Drive, both the east and west side, and Hollywood Court. And the last location is Ridge Street and Downey Drive. This project is going to generally include removal and replacement of existing curb ramps. At a few of the locations, there are no crossing or receiving ramps, so we'll be installing new ones for that. We'll be doing some full-depth street patches, as well as final surface restoration and seeding. The estimated construction cost is $155,000. This will be CDBG funded. The schedule is bid letting is June 27th, awarding July 11th with start date of July 31st. Majority of it should be completed this fall. Some of it might fall outside of the seeding window, so that would be completed in the following spring. Are there any questions?
Hearing none. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Burgess.
Second, Alter.
Council discussion. I can hear Harry Olmsted say,
Yes.
I was just
Good job.
thinking about Harry. Yes, absolutely.
yes.
Damn time.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. It's always good to see these projects every year and to know that our community keeps chipping away at this. And
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, and since I live right in that area, it's like this is going to be really, really welcome just because they're well-traveled, and it will be nice to have them more accessible for more people.
Mm-hmm. Roll call, please.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Alter.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9E is fiscal year 23 annual action plan amendment number 1. Resolution approving substantial amendment number 1 to Iowa City's fiscal year 2023 annual action plan. And we're going to welcome, could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Alter.
Second, done.
All right, and welcome Erica Kubley. Hello.
Hey, Erica Kubley with Neighborhood Services. I'm also here to talk about the curb ramps. So we are proposing to shift CDBG set-aside funding to allow for our neighborhood improvement project to proceed this construction season. The city sets aside $75,000 of our CDBG funds for neighborhood improvements each year in our annual action plan, and we work with parks and engineering departments to identify projects. The proposed project is curb ramp accessibility improvements in the South District. As Ethan discussed, the total cost of the project is about $150,000 and was initially intended to be covered by 2 years of funding, CDBG funding for FY23 and FY24. But we have the opportunity to start the project this construction season. If we wait until we get approval of our FY24 funds, we wouldn't be able to start probably until next summer. So after speaking with our HUD representative, they suggested we shift funds to the project. So we looked for unspent funds that we could use more quickly. We have about $25,000 in program income that we want to shift to this project. And then we also propose shifting unused CDBG economic development funds for FY23 to this project. We currently use those funds for small business technical assistance, and applications are available on an ongoing basis. We don't have any pending applications right now, but we'll get another set of funding beginning on July 1st. Any increases to project funding over $50,000 or 25% of the total project cost triggers a substantial amendment to our FY23 annual action plan in accordance with our citizen participation plan. We've held a 30-day public comment period and have not received any comments to my knowledge. HCDC recommended approval of the amendment at their May 18th meeting. Staff also supports this amendment. We have strict timeliness standards with HUD, and this will help facilitate quick spending of our funds, and it will also get the curb ramps out to the neighborhood more quickly.
Any questions?
I just have a clarifying question. You said that the money that you would be using now is for the economic development grants, but there aren't any, and you'll have a new round of money available July 1st?
Right, so we have $50,000 for FY23, and it hasn't been allocated or spent. So usually after 2 years, it goes back into the pool, but we're going to kind of put it back into the pool early, and then we'll have funds available July 1st. We'll have $50,000 available for anyone to apply.
For the economic?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 9F, Zero Fare Transit Pilot Program. Resolution authorizing the city manager to initiate a 2-year zero fare pilot project on all Iowa City transit routes. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Burgess?
Second, done.
All right, and we're going to welcome our city manager.
Thank you, Council. Going to continue on the mobility theme, building off the curb ramps there, and talk about public transit. You actually spent quite a bit of work session time at your last meeting discussing the possibility of a 2-year zero fare pilot project on our transit system. This resolution just formalizes the decision that was made at that work session, which is to proceed ahead with that 2-year pilot program. I'll highlight a couple of aspects again for the public here tonight, and then if you have specific questions, Mark Rummel, our Associate Director in Transportation Services, was kind enough to join us tonight and can help respond to specific questions. Zero fare transit systems are gaining more interest across the country, and based on implementation in other communities, we expect that it could boost our ridership by 20 to 60%, which not only helps us meet equity goals, but also climate action goals that are both contained in your strategic plan. We do have federal relief funds that are available to carry us through this 2-year pilot program. However, we have not yet identified a sustainable funding source to take us past the 2 years. So our intention is to run this program for a year and then report back to you. Again, it will be a 2-year pilot, but we would start that review process and that actual discussion of whether to go beyond the 2 years or not in about 12 months from whenever we launch. At that time, staff will be ready with some options in terms of a sustainable revenue source for zero fare transit, and you'll have the benefit of a year's worth of data to look at to determine the impact that it's had in the community. Our hope is that we can launch this in the late summer or early fall of this year. And transit staff is busy making all the preparation that's needed to shift to that zero fare system. Communications is also assisting with the branding and messaging that will be behind that shift to make sure that the public knows that this service level change is coming. So I'll leave my comments at that. And again, Mark and I are able to answer any questions that you have tonight.
What steps are left to get this up and running?
Sure. Mark, you want to come up? I'll start, and then you can fill in. We have to work through some pass logistics. We do have bulk organizations that buy bulk passes. We also have to transition people that are on passes off of the zero fare system. We want to build a brand and a message to be able to put this out there as well. And I know passenger counting systems is something that Mark is also focusing on. So what have I missed there, Mark?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Really, as far as our hardware side of things, our game plan would be to just cover our current fare boxes at this point, rather than removing them completely. If you remember when Darian did her presentation during the work session, she commented that our current fare boxes are near the end of their useful life, and we're looking, if we don't go fare free, we will definitely have to look at purchasing and acquiring a new either fare box total system, or at least replacing the hardware that's in the buses. That was going to come at a pretty hefty price tag. So at this point, our intention would be to just cover those fare boxes. Like Jeff said, we still need to count riders for federal reporting. So a couple options: we can use kind of old-fashioned clickers, or through our bus tracking software and the tablets that are in the buses, there's a module that we can purchase for that CAN Bus actually uses right now that seems to work pretty well. But I mean, all in all, our bus schedules have rates on there. The website has rates on there. So it would really just be modifying some of those aspects. We're not looking to expand the fleet or expand our employee our full-time employee count at this point due to demand, but that could be something that comes up down the road.
And I know this is cart and horse because we haven't actually approved this yet, but when the communications sort of gets a plan, I would love to hear some kind of an update on how we're going to be pushing this out to the community. I mean, I don't expect you to have that tonight, but sure. But when that comes, I'll be really interested in hearing about it.
On that same education theme, Mark, I heard you use the term fare free, and I've had a conversation with Jeff and a couple of my colleagues of zero fare versus fare free. So, I mean, personally, I like fare free, but of course, you're the professional.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know that we've bus fare free and BFF.
There you go.
It's fair. It's free. It's fare free.
I like the ideas, so we'll have to figure out what we land on there.
You're right.
Has there been any communication with our neighboring city, Corville, since this has kind of been out?
I reached out to their city administrator to let them know, and then we're also engaged in discussions on paratransit, on the paratransit aspects of this as well.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Please state your name and city you're from.
David Ramotowski, Iowa City. So I guess I already said it, but I really do support the Zero Fare pilot project. So I'm a PhD student here studying environmental engineering, and so as I said before, I don't live in the South anymore. So obviously in the colder months of the year, I rely on the bus pretty heavily because it does go right by my apartment, and so it's very convenient. And so so actually because of that, so right now I typically buy the university U-Pass to ride the bus, and the thing is, it doesn't really pay for itself, except like in the winter, like when I'm actually riding the bus regularly. So, so for example, this summer I actually didn't renew it, and so if I want to ride the bus, I'll have to actually, carry cash and pay, and I don't really like doing that. So yeah, I think it's really great that you guys are considering this, because I did my master's. So like before I started my PhD, I did my master's in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the buses there ran once every hour, and that's in a metro area with like probably the same population as like the entire state of Iowa. And so I think that's pretty sad, but it also, I just want to express my appreciation that you guys are supporting public transit, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address this topic? Seeing no one, in person or online, council discussion.
I'm just tremendously excited that this is going to happen, and I commend staff for doing all the work to see if this is viable, and this. I just think that this is going to take some really large steps in terms of concretizing what it is that we want to do for our city in terms of accessibility, in terms of equity, in terms of making it a livable place, working on climate goals. So it hits everything, and this is just an awesome thing. So thank you, everybody who's contributed and worked so hard to make this happen.
I agree, and I think the combination of this with the increased frequency and the other changes that we've made with the route adjustments and that kind of thing all happening in close in time to each other, that marketing piece will be really critical and helpful, because I think there's a number of people who just haven't tried the bus in a while or haven't ridden the bus recently after so many people stopped riding the bus the last few years with the pandemic. So I think it'll be really exciting to see people come back to riding the bus, with a lot more new people riding the bus and not having to pay a fare.
It's the one thing that I've heard a lot of positive comments from the public about. They're all excited about this too, and I'm excited for our transit drivers because I think this is going to be very helpful to them as far as they don't have to worry about making change or arguing with people about how much to pay. So I think that's going to be very helpful and a big change for them.
I think it's important to go over, just for the sake of this being the meeting we're making this vote on, some of the things that I really think that, and I know that the rest of this council shares, are really critical to going forward with this project. So I've got three things that are really important to me and why I support this. So one, it's going to help us achieve our climate goals. It's going to keep people off of the roads, which it will additionally save us money, reducing wear on our roads. Two, it will hopefully help boost the local economy by keeping dollars in people's pockets. And two, third, in doing that, it's going to help the poor and working people save money and spend it on other necessities. This is something that I've seen firsthand. I've been helping out a local refugee who is 100% dependent on public transportation, specifically public transportation in Iowa City and Coralville. And this person literally ran out of money because of how often she had to use the buses. And so when I think about this vote, I think about how many of those people exist in our community that this is going to have an immediate impact on being able to buy more food, being able to do other things that don't just simply get you to the job that you have. So I'm very thankful for all the work that staff has done on this. I'm very thankful to the Biden administration as well as members of Congress for getting us these dollars and allowing us to do this really type of transformative work for our community. And I'm also looking to the future. I don't think this should be the place where we stop with expanding public transportation in our community. I think that we also need to be looking towards expanding service, but this is a fantastic, great first step that I don't think should be overlooked.
I can't think of anything to add to that, so I'll just say ditto.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I might add is it will be certainly interesting to see how ridership changes with the free fare. And hopefully, we'll see a significant increase. I think it will also be interesting to try to expand our horizon in terms of where might there be development opportunities along these bus lines with the free fare, perhaps with an emphasis on affordable housing. since the means of transit would be free fare, and see if that can accelerate, again, our movements on all the fronts that have been described with regard to this project. So that, too, I think, is often when we make these transit enhancements and improvements, there is an opportunity to incentivize its use by aligning our land use accordingly. And we are certainly advancing our transit system, so it'll be interesting to see if we can take advantage of that.
So often I say, let's begin with the end in mind, and this isn't one where we have that. I think what we have at the end of this pilot program is faith and hope that we'll be able to do something, because right now the funds, we already saw that they will not last. So how do we ensure that we have enterprise funds to make this up? But I'm happy that we're doing this, and I'm going to keep the hope and the faith alive that we'll be able to continue to do this for the people that Councilor Dunn just talked about. Very exciting. I'm happy to support this, and what I hope is that between now and then we'll see really what we're talking about now, more ridership. And I would love to see how, along the bus routes we can see some improvement of places where people destined to go. And so that'll be interesting just to see how this play out, but happy to support it. We're ready for roll call.
Harmson?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn.
Absolutely.
That is a yes. All right. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 9G is ARPA Child Care Wage Enhancement Program. Resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a state and local fiscal recovery fund resolution grant agreement with Johnson County and the Community Foundation of Johnson County to administer the Child Care Wage Enhancement Program. And could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Taylor.
All right, and welcome, Cassandra.
Hi there, Cassandra Grip, Grant Specialist with Neighborhood and Development Services. As you mentioned, this resolution would authorize the support of the Child Care Wage Enhancement Program through an agreement with Johnson County and the Community Foundation of Johnson County. This program addresses the growing challenges of child care staffing wages without increasing the cost of tuition or passing those on to additional costs to the families. In addition to increasing the child care staffing wages by up to $2 per hour, the fund pays the increased payroll taxes, so that is not passed on to the provider either. This resolution was initially presented at a work session in March, and so this is the culmination of those planning pieces, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Has it been made public? I know that there is a local business partner who has committed that this is like a big get. Has it been made public who that is? No. Okay. We'll just have to wait with bated breath, I guess.
Hearing no more questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public like to address this topic in person or online? So I guess you all are a part of the applicant in a way.
I'll be the public today, too.
Okay.
Stick her down.
Welcome.
Thank you. Katie Gerlach, Director of Better Together 2030, and a partner in the Child Care Solutions collaboration, here with Missy Forbes from 4Cs. We've been a part of the Child Care Solutions group for many years, and out of the pandemic came the Wage Enhancement Program, which you're generously supporting with your resolution tonight. Wanted to say thank you on behalf of the entire coalition. With this support tonight, we'll be able to launch the official Child Care Solutions Johnson County Community Collaboration brand through the business partnership, ICAD, and all of the Better Together 2030 partners, which will allow us to go out and really publicize this with our business partners, to be able to have a badge on their website, a sticker in their window showing that they are also a part of the solution. But we couldn't have gotten there without the city and county support and leading the way, and we're here to say thank you for that tonight, and we're looking forward to what the next 3 years does for childcare in our county.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address this topic? Seeing no one else in person or online, council discussion.
I think this is, just like the last item, another example of something that people have worked on for quite a while, years. And now we're at a point where we're actually getting to take some action on things, and that feels really good, especially because many times when people ask me, well, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? And I said, we move at the speed of city. And sometimes Iowa City actually moves pretty quickly on things compared to some other cities I've lived in and covered as a journalist. But it still takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of work. And so also just a pat on the back to all of those who have worked for weeks, months, and years to bring forward a proposal which should help us move the needle on a major issue confronting families, businesses, and children. So thank you.
Something that's been a long time coming, and we've been hearing about and talking about, but a lot of words, but not much action. So it's really great to see this, and hoping to see over time that it's helpful, because we hear over and over again and see the effects that the lack of childcare does affect the economy. People can't go to work if they don't have the child care and those kinds of things. And we'd heard the drastic numbers, it must have been at the work session that you were talking about, of the lack or the need for spaces. So it'll be interesting to see how this helps that. Thank you.
I really appreciate how this program is in alignment with our partnership and engagement value from our strategic plan so much, not just with the coalition that's been working so hard and pulling together so many stakeholders to come up with this idea, let alone the actual logistics of the program itself, but also the fact that 2 local governments are seeding this fund, and it will be successful through the collaboration and support with private businesses participating as well. So my one question was going to be, how are we going to market it? And thank you, Katie, for explaining that now we can, and that your organizations will be doing that.
I think I'd again echo a lot of the comments that I had for the last item. This is just a really great program that we have the opportunity to participate in. That's going to make a really big impact on working families in the community. Again, speaking to a particular line from the agenda item, child care professionals have the lowest wages of any tracked professions in this county. So again, the same type of stuff that I'm thinking about for the refugee that's going to benefit from having free fare, we're going to have the same types of benefits, more food being able to be put on the table, more doctor's visits that people can afford, and just a more comfortable life for a lot of people in this community and across the county, and I'm really excited for that.
There is a nice pairing, as we've been saying, with that last item, and it does just strike me how both are really foundational in terms of improving the lives of a lot of people on an everyday basis, and that's not something, we'll see it, but it's so widely distributed and so foundational that it doesn't necessarily make headlines in the way that special events can, but when you add it all up, it's a very significant achievement.
I would also say one other thing. I think I have asked Katie and Missy quite a few questions during this period of deliberation, and I have very much appreciated the responses that you've gotten to me. And again, I am very clearly going to be voting for this, so thank you very much for your hard work.
I just want to say, as somebody who a million years ago was part of this coalition, but then childcare has so many layers to it. The perfect metaphor is it's an onion. You peel back one, and there's more and more and more layers. And the thing that is so wonderful about this particular piece of the puzzle is that it is so concrete, and it helps in such a pragmatic way to professionalize what is an incredibly difficult and specialized skill set and jobs. And before COVID, it was there are not enough slots. And of course, that also had to do with there not being enough workers. But post-COVID, when it's such a low wage, and in so many ways, with the state as well, making it more risky for people to be workers in this industry, I think that the more that can be done to help professionalize these workers in our community, the better, and to show that we value their work. And hopefully, you know, it's one toehold at a time, but this is an incredibly important effort. And to bring attention to it really shows that, in fact, yes, Iowa City and the people in this community and the county are really working hard to shine a light on just how dire the crisis is, and that there are ways to help mitigate it. And you can't fix childcare without attacking it piece by piece. And so thank you for doing that.
There's been lots of words that's been shared by my fellow counselors. I think what I wanted to maybe just bring light to is that marketing. Make sure that the workers that have already been in the system know that they're appreciated. You can give money, but I also believe that the words are so valuable, and sometimes taken for granted that just a little thank you for all you do might not be significant, but you'll be surprised. And when people are told thank you for the work that they do, how they really take that to heart. So great that we can be a part of this $2 an hour, but also want to make sure that that marketing includes a thank you. Roll call, please.
Taylor?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Always.
Harmson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item number 9H, removal of Parks and Recreation Commissioner. This is a resolution to remove Commissioner Member Boniface Penadajo Lamopa from the Parks and Rec Commission due to multiple unexcused absences. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Thomas.
Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Council discussion? Roll call, please.
Teague?
Yes?
Thomas?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item number 10 is council appointments, and we have several. So I think how we're going to do this is we're going to go kind of one by one, and then at the end we'll give our official vote naming a mass motion for each of them. All right, so we will do first the Airport Commission, 10A, which has one vacancy to fill a 4-year term from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. And there is no gender balance. And we had 3 applicants.
Ryan's story really stood out to me.
I agree with
Me
that.
also.
Same.
Same.
I think I hear a majority.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right, so for Airport Commission, we have Ryan Story.
I'm sorry, there was correspondence that went with the Airport Commission that was in the late handouts yesterday.
Great. Could I get a motion to accept correspondence?
So moved, Harmson.
Second, Burgess.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 10B is Community Police Review Board, one vacancy to fill a 4-year term, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. It does have a female requirement.
Mr. Mayor, I think in light of the fact that the person whose term expires, Jerry McConnell, I think was just recently appointed, I would be, and they have, resubmitted an application, I would put them forward as a nominee.
I would agree with that because that one that she was appointed to was an unexpired term, so it wasn't even a full term that she filled.
And just elected the chair, so the group apparently must think highly of somebody who's that new and already, or
Yes.
relatively new and
And
has that
perfect
vote of
attendance.
confidence. And perfect attendance.
Any other nominations? I hear no other nominations. Are people inclined to support the majority? Yes. Okay. We're going to move on to item 10C, Historic Preservation Commission at Large. 2 vacancies to fill a 3-year term, July 1st through 2023, through June 30th, 2026. This does require 2 males.
I think Frank Wagner really stood out to me.
Is on my list as well.
Yeah.
I was also interested in Andrew Lewis.
Agreed.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other nominations? Are people inclined to support Andrew Lewis and Frank Wagner?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're moving on to item 10B. 10D, as in David. Okay. Historic Preservation Commission Longfellow. 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. It has 1 male requirement.
I was going to suggest Carl Brown. He also has only served 1 term.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Sure.
All right, there's a majority there. And item 10E, we're going to come back to, because Councilor Taylor will recuse them herself. So we'll go on to item 10F, Library Board of Trustees. And this is 2 vacancies for a 6-year term, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2029.
Of one of them, I would put forth Claire Matthews.
Agree.
Agreed.
I thought 2 others had, first of all, I want to say, I love that we're in a community that loves its library this much. The number of applicants, these are people after my own heart. So with all the commissions and boards, but that's just one that I don't know if every community has that level of interest in the library board. There were 2 on there that I would throw out as possibilities in addition to Ms. Matthews. Bonnie Boothroyd and Cecilia Green. I'm trying to read my own.
Lucille.
Lucilla. Green.
Lucilia, sorry.
Sorry, I'm reading my own handwriting, so my apologies. I think they just both had really impressive resumes that jumped out at me. So I would see if any of the counselors had a particular thought on one of those, or anybody else.
Yeah, I agree with Councilor Harmson. Bonnie Boothroyd stood out to me, but also Janine, is it Kane? She talked about the importance of literacy and the importance of supporting all students, no matter what. It kind of fell into our strategic values as far as inclusiveness and all persons. So I'd throw that name out there also.
Any other nominations? All right, we have 4 so far. We have Bonnie, Lucille, Janine, and Claire. Wanted to see, I'll go in the order of how they were called out.
Okay.
If I could remember. So, wanted to see hands of support for Claire. So, all right, we have majority there. Wanted to see hands of support for Bonnie. Okay. Want to see hands of support for Lucille. I think we have majority there. All right, so Lucille Green and Claire Matthews. All right, we're moving on to item 10G, Planning and Zoning Commission. 2 vacancies to fill a 5-year term, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028. And we have 2 males and 1 none.
Mayor, the next item, it's also an unexpired, so there's 2 items, 3 terms.
So we might as well just combine them. Okay, we'll do that. So item 10H is Planning and Zoning Commission, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term upon appointment through June 30th, 2026. But that's a part of the 2 males and 1 none.
And 1 none, 3.
Yes.
Total of 3.
Yep, so we have a total of 3 for those 2.
I'll just throw out 3 names. Michael Marute, Millie Townsend, and Chad Wade.
I agree with all 3 of those.
Both Billy and Chad were on my list as well.
Yeah, Billy and Chad are both already serving, and so the newcomer would be, was it Michael?
Michael Marute.
I'm good with that.
I think I just want to throw this out as for a brief point of discussion is that in times past, based on the number of applicants, we have tried to do some turnover on the commissions. I'm playing my own sort of both sides. I do also recognize, especially in the past several instances, P&Z it's pretty specialized and knowledge, so I don't have an issue with having 2 experienced people come back on, but I just wanted to raise that. I realized it was more a rule of thumb rather than a rule of law or anything that we had set forth, but I did want to point that out, that we've had conversations previous about turning over commissions to give more people opportunities, but I also recognize P&Z is a little bit different, so I just wanted to throw that out there and see if that made anybody think differently.
Well, I with all due respect, Mayor Pro Tem Alter, as you'd mentioned, planning and zoning is pretty intense, but so are some of the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I just really see value in some of these terms are just short, like 3 or 4 years. And I think when these people want to put time and effort into it, if they want to apply for a second term, so be it. And I don't see any problem with that. That's no different from those of us running again for council. So I don't see any problem with reappointing folks.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the 3 that have been suggested.
It is a long term, I will say.
But yeah, that's
I know,
This one
having
is.
served on P&Z, it is one where
5-year term, yeah.
there's a lot that can go into understanding the structure of our planning and zoning documents. So, there's a learning curve there for sure. So I would support reappointing, but it is 5 years. I don't know who came up with that number, but
I don't know.
that's a push, especially doing it twice.
Yeah. Got to keep our talent somehow.
All right, so it appears that we have majority for Billy Townsend, Chad Wade, and Michael Marute. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, the one question I have is that 2 of those will be for a new 5-year term, and 1 will be for an unexpired
Yes.
term, and I think
All
the
right.
council will need to designate which is which. I'll look at Kelly for a moment to see whether the gender balance requirements, it looks like it was a male, Mark Sines, who is resigning from the uncompleted term, so I would assume that we would want to place one of the male candidates you've addressed into the unexpired term.
I don't think it matters.
Doesn't
Eric,
it matter
an
ultimately?
Overall.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I would suggest Michael for the 3-year term, or no, sorry, the unexpired term. I beg your pardon. I was doing the math.
Anyone, are people okay with that? Okay, great. We're on to item number 10I, which is Public Art Advisory Committee. one at-large vacancy to fill a 3-year term, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. One female and one non-requirement.
How about Nate Sullivan?
I think that's a good idea.
All right.
Yeah. Great.
One of his primary
For the one
reasons for
none.
applying was to advocate for the performing arts, which is not really
Yeah.
within the
Mhm.
scope, but just to let that be known.
All right. And then the other will just remain open until filled.
Another,
Because
we do have 2 applicants for art.
Oh.
For
yeah.
the professional.
Oh, see, it's the next one. Yeah, I always say. So we'll do the both. Well, we'll go to the next one, which is Public Art Advisory Committee, 10J, one vacancy to fill a 3-year term for an art or design professional, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
And this is another situation. Anita Young is currently filling an unexpired term, so I would appoint her to that.
Anita.
Anita Young.
I agree.
All right. So I think we are where we need to be.
Except for the HCDC.
Right. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on this first. And then we will come back and vote on the next, on item 10E. All right. I'm just, I think I'm done here. So could I get a motion to approve 10A Airport Commission Story Ryan, 10B CPRB Jerry McConnell, 10C Historic Preservation at Large, Andrew Lewis and Frank Wagner, 10D Historic Preservation Longfellow, Carl Brown, 10F Library Board of Trustee, Claire Matthews and Lucille Green, 10G and H Planning and Zoning, Billy Townsend, Chad Wade, Michael Marut, who will get the unexpired term. 10I is going to be Public Art Advisory at Large, Nate Sullivan. And then 10J is going to be Public Art Committee, Art or Design Professional, Anita Young.
So moved. Done.
Second, Harmson.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Harmson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And we're going to allow the recusal of Counselor Taylor for item number 10E, Housing and Community Development Commission. There are 3 vacancies to fill a 3-year term, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. There are 2 males and 1 none.
Lance Gleiser, someone who I caught my eye.
I would throw out both Kieran and Kyle to come back. I think this is probably one of those opportunities where we have 3 positions. HCDC does a lot of difficult work allocating funds and stuff like that, so we can do a mix of experience and get some new blood in there. So
I agree with that.
Would agree.
I heard Kyle. Who was the other?
Lance Gleiser and Karen Patel.
Any other nominations? Okay, do we need to identify who gets what?
I think James Pierce would also do well if people would want to choose.
I mean, I would throw out James Pierce as well as a.
I had him as well.
All right, so We have 2 males and 1 none. So we have 3 males right now. If I,
Kieran's,
No, Kieran's
oh,
female.
I'm sorry.
Kieran Patel.
It's female.
Mm-hmm. So we have 2 males and 2 females right now. Okay.
I'm sorry, maybe I've got the names wrong. I have Lance Gleiser, who I haven't checked, but I assume is male. Kieran Patel, female. Kyle Vogel, male. And James Pierce, male. Is that right?
Correct.
We haven't decided,
Right.
or is it 3 or?
Total of 3 that we're looking for.
Right, so we'll have to
2
make
of
a
whom need to be
decision.
males,
Sure.
and 1
Right.
can be either.
Okay. I thought there were 3 that identified as male. So,
Yeah.
okay. So we have, well, I guess the none, we can determine, who we want. Because it's not a gender required.
I mean, I would support Kieran regardless, so
Yeah.
that'd be very
And-
cool.
I think we just appointed her, didn't we?
Yeah, just
Not long
last
ago,
year,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So it sound like there's majority support for Kieran. So then let's look at 2 remaining that we want to support. So maybe I'll do them I'll try to recall the order of the names as they were given. Kyle,
Yes.
wanted to see
Yes.
support.
Yeah.
So we have majority there. And then Lance Gleiser. And then James Pierce. Yeah, so we have, all right. So can I get a motion to appoint for Housing and Community Development Commission, Karen Patel, James Pierce, and Kyle Vogel?
So moved, Harmson.
Second, Alter.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Great.
6-0.
Oh, motion passes 6-0 with the 1 recusal. Leave it to the lawyer to catch me
No,
on a
Kelly-
technical.
Kelly said it first. I was just repeating to make sure
Of
you
course,
heard.
the city clerk caught me. All right. We are on to item 11, announcements of vacancies previous. Ad hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission, 2 vacancies to fill an unexpired term upon appointment through December 31st, 2024. Human Rights Commission, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Applications must be received by 5 p.m. Monday, July 3rd, 2023. Historic Preservation Commission, North Side, 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, East College Street, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Historic Preservation Commission, Jefferson Street, 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, Woodlawn Avenue, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Vacancies will remain open until filled. Item number 12 is City Council information.
I just want to say again, it's for several of us who were able to go to the Sunday day in the life of duffers trying to be fire people. It was an amazing training. It was incredibly instructive, valuable, exhilarating. Being able to use the jaws of life was pretty cool, but it also just gave a whole new insight into what it is like for the fire department. And so I just greatly appreciate the effort that went into creating that for us, walking us through it, helping us, not laughing at us, all of that. It was, but no, it was a tremendous experience. And unfortunately, with the fires that you have recently had to attend to, it made my reading of the articles utterly different than in times past. So thank you very much for extending that to us.
Ditto.
I wanted to give a shout out to the Summer of the Arts program. I attended the Arts Festival this weekend, and it appeared to be very successful. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people downtown. It was just great to see downtown so vibrant and so full of people of diverse backgrounds that we love to tout ourselves as a city of. And of course, all the wonderful vendors. I saw some from Colorado and Wisconsin and Illinois. They came from all over and had wonderful products. But there were also some unique things that some of you might have missed. One that caught a lot of attention, there were two little Sheltie dogs, if you know what Shelties are. They're like the little miniature collies. They had sunglasses on, and people were just really getting a kick out of that. It was really cute, and they were stopping the people to take pictures of these little dogs with sunglasses. It was just adorable. Then there was the man on stilts. He was like over 7 foot tall, and that's for a 5'2" person. That's really tall, and he had a bubble machine, and that was also like really drawing people, especially the young people, to him, and that was really fun to see. And then my favorite was what appeared to be a brass sculpture. I don't know if those of you who attended saw this or not. It was a young man with a fishing pole. And at first I thought, oh my goodness, we've got another new brass sculpture in Blackhawk Mini Park, because he just stood there still like a statue, and he was painted like brass, and it was just amazing. But then every now and then he would slowly move and startle the crowd. But that was just really amazing, and something I was expecting to go down and shop for artwares, but seeing those kinds of things also, it was really fun.
Just a congratulations to all of the various graduates over the past couple of weeks, as well as for the other students in ICCSD who had their last day of school today, and I'm sure they're much, much happier tonight than they were last night. So.
And just a reminder, the two proclamations that we gave was Juneteenth and Iowa City Pride. So there's events happening. Look at the website. They're going to be exciting. They're going to be hot. But come in and celebrate these two and commemorate as well. All right, we're on to items number 13, reports from city staff, our city manager's office.
Not tonight, Mayor.
Our city attorney.
Nothing tonight.
All right, and our city clerk. All right. And item number 14 is a motion to adjourn. Could I get a motion, please?
So moved, Vargas.
Second, Alter.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Counselors, we are going to take a 7-minute break, and then we're going to reconvene in our executive session.
To discuss